Hey everyone, Two Angry Frogs here with our guide to Destruction Warlock for the War Within. It's time again to rain Hellfire on our enemies, but this time with a twist. Will we call multitudes of demons to unleash attacks against our enemies, or will we be satisfied with withering away our enemies' souls? Either way, Destruction Hero Talents are a lot of fun to play. But before we set fire to the world, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, so you always know what we're up to next. Now, let's get into it. So the big question you may be asking is, what hero talents are better? Should you play Diabolist or Hellcaller, and is one better for multi-target or single target? When it comes to Destruction Warlock, there is no clear-cut answer right now. Both hero talent trees look viable in both AoE and single target encounters. You may find you like the playstyle of one over the other, and you should feel free to choose what appeals to you and what you have fun with. However, all of this is stated with the usual disclaimer that it could all change tomorrow depending on what Blizzard does with the class buffs and nerfs. So, let's get into how the Diabolist and Hellcaller hero talents work. Diabolist centers on Diabolic Ritual. When you spend a soul shard on a damaging ability, Diabolic Ritual starts a 20-second countdown. Every soul shard spent on damaging abilities reduces this by 1 second, and when the countdown expires, two things happen. First, you gain Demonic Art. The next Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire, or Shadow Burn you cast summons a demon to attack your current target. Demons include an Overlord, Mother of Chaos, and Pit Lord, each with their own special abilities. Diabolic Ritual and Demonic Art run in a loop, and the type of demon summon rotates with each Demonic Art proc. Second, you get Touch of Rancora, causing your next Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire, or Shadow Burn to deal 100% increased damage at 50% reduced cast time. For Hellcaller, it centers around Wither, an instant cast stacking damage ability that replaces Immolate. Hellcaller talents either passively stack Wither or consume Wither. Blackened Soul increases Wither by 1 stack when spending soul shards on damaging abilities. It also has a chance to start consuming Wither stacks at 1 per second each time a stack is applied. Seeds of Their Demise starts consuming Wither when 8 stacks are reached or the enemy reaches 20% health. This also has a chance to apply 2 stacks of Flashpoint, which can provide a good amount of haste. Mark of Perdaharn adds a stack when Wither critically strikes. And finally, Malevolence, a new active ability on a 1-minute cooldown. This does significant Shadow Flame damage to enemies affected by Wither, and increases Wither stacks by 6 on those enemies. For 20 seconds, you gain 8% haste, and spending soul shards on damaging abilities grants an additional stack of Wither. So let's take a look at our talent builds. For Diabolist and Hellcaller, our single target talents are exactly the same outside of the hero talent selections. We take Shadow Burn and all Shadow Burn related talents, including Blistering Atrophy, Conflagration of Chaos, and Fiendish Cruelty. Shadow Burn critical strikes are very close to the same amount of damage as Chaos Bolt, and outperform Chaos Bolt on targets with less than 30% health. And Shadow Burn only requires 1 soul shard to the 2 required for Chaos Bolt. This makes it very strong in single target encounters. We'll take Cataclysm for the single target build to apply and maintain Immolate or Wither on the enemy when needed. For Diabolist, when it comes to Mythic Plus and AoE talents, you have a couple of options in either Shadow Burn or Channel Demon Fire. The Shadow Burn build is slightly better DPS and gives another instant cast. However, it can compete with Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire for soul shards at times. Channel Demon Fire gives you another multi-target spell, but if you're not running Cataclysm, it does require more setup time, and the channel requires you to stand still for 3 seconds. It really depends on your preferred playstyle. We do recommend taking Inferno over Cataclysm for Diabolist. Inferno does work a bit differently than before, as it now reduces the casting cost of Rain of Fire to 2 soul shards. You will notice in the build that I have shown here that I choose Mayhem over Havoc. This comes down to whether you want to manage Havoc or rely on random procs to apply Havoc. It does proc a lot more often than you might expect, And from what I found, the DPS difference between the two talents really isn't that much. For Hellcaller Mythic plus AoE, we lean toward Channel Demon Fire and taking Raging Demon Fire. Channel Demon Fire will extend the duration of Wither on all enemies hit. We'll take Cataclysm to apply Wither to multiple enemies more efficiently and with a single cast. To optimally use Cataclysm, you'll want to wait until enemies are bunched together, but you can cast the Wither instant to start dotting enemies right away as you are waiting for the enemies to be brought together. Again, in this build, you see I'm taking Mayhem over Havoc. Havoc may be the better choice as far as a small DPS increase, but personally I prefer not manually managing Havoc timers. For single target, our opener is the same for Diabolist and Hellcaller, except for the addition of Malevolence. Since Hellcaller has the additional 1 minute cooldown and Malevolence, we will cast it at the same time we cast or summon Infernal. So for our single target opener, we cast the following. Precast Soulfire, which also applies either Immolate or Wither, cast Conflagrate, cast Shadowburn, cast Summon Infernal, if playing Hellcaller, also cast Malevolence, cast Shadowburn, cast Conflagrate, cast Chaos Bolt, cast Incinerate, and cast Shadowburn. For the Hellcaller single target rotation, we want to hit procs as soon as they come up, cast Malevolence every minute, and cast Summon Infernal every 2 minutes. We also want to ensure not to overcap on soul shards. We'll cast Cataclysm if needed to maintain Wither on the enemy at all times. Wait until about 3 to 5 seconds left on Wither to see if Soulfire procs, which will reapply Wither. Cast Malevolence on cooldown, cast Summon Infernal on cooldown. Cast Chaos Bolt if you're about to cap on soul shards or when you need to refresh the Eradication debuff. If you're playing Havoc, cast Havoc on a secondary target on cooldown to cleave damage. Cast Conflagrate to keep from sitting on 2 charges. Cast Shadowburn when it procs or to keep from sitting on 2 charges. Cast Soulfire when it procs. If Soulfire will put you at or above 5 soul shards, cast Chaos Bolt prior to casting Soulfire. And then cast Incinerate as a filler. For the Diabolist single target rotation, we want to hit procs as soon as they come up and ensure not to overcap on soul shards. Both Mother of Chaos and Pit Lord special abilities do change your action bar. Mother of Chaos Infernal Bolt ability replaces your Incinerate until it's cast, and Pit Lord Ruination replaces Chaos Bolt until it is cast. So for our single target rotation, we'll cast Cataclysm if needed to maintain Immolate. Again, we'll wait until 3 to 5 seconds left on Immolate to see if Soulfire procs, which will reapply that. Cast Summon Infernal on cooldown. Cast Chaos Bolt if you're about to cap on soul shards or when you need to refresh the Eradication debuff. If you're playing Havoc, cast Havoc on a secondary target on cooldown to cleave damage. Cast Conflagration to keep from sitting on 2 charges. Cast Shadowburn when it procs or to keep from sitting on 2 charges. Cast Mother of Chaos Infernal Bolt or Pit Lord Ruination when they proc. Cast Soulfire when it procs. If Soulfire will put you at or above 5 soul shards, cast Chaos Bolt prior to casting Soulfire. And then we'll cast Incinerate as a filler. So for our Hellcaller Mythic plus AoE rotation, we cast the following for the opener. We'll cast Cataclysm to apply Wither across enemies. Cast Summon Infernal, cast Malevolence, cast Rain of Fire, cast Channel Demon Fire, which will extend Wither as well. If talented, cast Havoc on a secondary target, cast Conflagrate, and cast Rain of Fire. After the opener, we're pretty much spamming Rain of Fire when we have at least 3 soul shards. We want to hit the procs when they activate, and we want to always maintain Wither on the enemies. So we'll cast Cataclysm to maintain Wither at all times. Cast Malevolence on cooldown, cast Summon Infernal on cooldown, cast Rain of Fire whenever we have 3+ enemies. If you're playing Havoc, cast Havoc on a secondary target on cooldown to cleave damage. Cast Channel Demon Fire on cooldown, which will also extend Wither. Cast Conflagrate to keep from sitting on 2 charges, and then cast Soulfire when it procs. If Soulfire will put you at or above 5 soul shards, you'll want to cast a Rain of Fire prior to casting Soulfire. And then we'll cast Incinerate as a filler. For our Diabolist AoE Mythic plus opener, we'll cast the following. Cast Immolate on up to 4 enemies. Cast Summon Infernal. Cast Rain of Fire. If talented, cast Havoc on a secondary target. Cast Conflagrate, and then cast Rain of Fire. With Inferno, our Rain of Fire costs 2 Soul Shards, so we are spamming a lot of Rain of Fire, and then we'll weave in procs and Immolate casts as they become available. So for our AoE rotation, we'll maintain Immolate on the main enemy and as many secondary enemies as possible, cast Summon Infernal on cooldown, cast Rain of Fire with 3+ enemies. If you're playing Havoc, cast Havoc on a secondary target on cooldown, cast Conflagrate to keep from sitting on 2 charges, cast Mother of Chaos, Infernal Bolt, or Pit Lord Ruination when they proc. If the Infernal Bolt from Mother of Chaos will put you at or above 5 Soul Shards, cast Rain of Fire first. Cast Soulfire when it procs. Again, if Soulfire will put you at or above 5 Soul Shards, cast Rain of Fire first. Cast Shadow Burn when it procs or on enemies below 30% health, and then cast Incinerate as a filler. If there are 3 to 4 enemies or more, I opt to continue spamming Rain of Fire over casting Shadow Burn unless it procs. Once down to 3 enemies or less, I weave in Shadow Burn more like its use in single target, and casting when it procs or to keep it off 2 charges. For Destruction Warlock stat priority in the War Within, we'll start with Haste and Critical Strike, which are approximately equal, Mastery, and then Versatility. We do start to see diminishing returns above 30% Haste or Critical Strike, taking a 10% penalty between 30 and 39%, a 20% penalty from 39 to 47%, and so on. We always encourage everyone to run your own sims using Raidbot's Top Gear, since your stat priorities may be different than everyone else's due to gear differences, enchants, gems, and so on. Pet selection for Destruction is really more about the utility you need as opposed to pet damage, as for the most part that's normalized now. The Fell Hunter is great in Dungeons & Mythic Plus and other open world content where you need a spell interrupt, such as in the Awakening Machine. The Fell Hunter spell lock ability provides you with an instant cast interrupt on a 24-second cooldown. The Fell Hunter also has the Devour Magic ability, which can be useful in situations where you need to purge a beneficial magic effect from an enemy. The Imp is the recommended pet for raiding. It is a ranged caster, which can reduce time between swapping from one enemy to another, and if needed, the Imp's Singe Magic ability can be used to dispel a harmful magic effect from you or a party member. Your Voidwalker is primarily used for open world and solo content due to it being a built-in tank with its high armor and taunt ability. And then finally, the Succubus or Incubus can be useful in raid encounters where there is a single boss for the entirety of the fight. Even though pet damage is normalized, the Succubus ability Whiplash passively increases enemy damage taken from your pet by 1% for 15 seconds, and this stacks up to 10 times. These are also very useful in PvP due to the Whiplash ability slowing enemy movement speed and Seduction, which disorients humanoid enemies. So there you have it. Will Destruction Warlock be competitive? I do think so, and from what we have seen over the last month or so, Destruction is continuing to receive buffs to help bring it in line. Will it be at the top of the meters? I don't see that happening, but I do believe we will be somewhere in the middle to upper middle of the damage meters, so hopefully we continue to see that trend. I think the best thing with Destruction right now is that there is no clear-cut winner for hero talents. Let's hope Blizzard continues to keep them balanced, so we continue to have the option of selecting either Diabolist or Hellcaller with confidence regardless of the content we're doing. As always, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, and everyone, have a great day.